Hi everyone, welcome to another Dan's Rest Stop. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about my wife Joyce's death experience. That's right, I didn't say NDE, near-death experience. I said death experience. And it was relayed to me by a friend of hers named Clarice, whom she met in late 2005. They became very good friends, and they met on the internet. You see, Clarice has a gift that I believe is from God. I really got into depth with the discussions of her gift after I was released from the convalescent hospital. And she told me that she had seen Joyce a few times. And one of the things she remarked to me was that Joyce was not age, she was age 70 when she died, that she was in her 30s or early 30s and was wearing a ponytail. Now, that kind of fits in with the fact that Jesus died at approximately age 33. He was in his early 30s. And I believe that in heaven, maybe you're at a certain age where you don't age any more than that. There are children there, but I believe there's a certain point where you reach a certain age and that's it. You don't get any older. Anyway, she had seen her a few times, and she had actually seen her with her service dog, with Hook, who was her hearing dog. So she had seen the both of them. So I was rather curious, having heard stories of people being crossed over by deceased loved ones. And in my own family, I had heard stories about that as well. Clarice said, "I've got to pray about this, and then I'll get back to you." So she contacted me a little later and said that in a vision that she had seen two women. One was Joyce's mom, and the other, she said, was a black woman, but she didn't know who she was. And she asked me if I knew who it might be. Well, I immediately thought back to the stories Joyce had told me about when her and her family were in the military, and they had become friends with a black family. And the lady of the family was also a nurse, and they were good friends with the family. And this lady was like a second mom to Joyce. Whenever the kids got sick, my mother-in-law would say, let's ask her, what do we need to do? So I told her I believe that was the other lady. Is this her? Is this really Joyce? Or is it an imposter? Is it a malevolent spirit? So it was an evolving process that could take a video just by itself. I prayed for guidance. I read scriptures. I read about spiritual discernment being a gift that's given by the Holy Spirit. I read about the testing of spirits to see if they're from God. I read about God giving us all good and perfect gifts come from God. And so as this process evolved, in the back of my mind, it was like, is this real or not? Well, that question was answered in March of 2024. And what happened was, I had come to the conclusion I had to somehow get what little doubt there was totally out of my mind. So I asked Clarice, had Joyce ever met Jesus? Now, she said, I'm going to tell you what happened when she died, her experience. So she said that she was crossed over by her mom and the family friend, the lady, and she was passed on to an angel. And this angelic being told her that she could ask any question she wanted as long as it was past or present, but no future. So Joyce was curious about a deceased older brother who had been abusive to her. She was shown fire and flames, and she heard screams coming from the fire and flames. Now, after she talked with the angelic being, she was passed on to Jesus. Jesus came to her, and she said he was not like any picture we have ever seen. He has long, beautiful, curly hair, shoulder length. He has a beautiful complexion. He is not black or white. But it's, as she described it, it's like he's all of us. He wasn't wearing any shoes. And he held out his arms to embrace her. She said there was nothing but love there. She said the lakes are the clearest you have ever seen. Clear water, mountains, and the brightest sunflowers you have ever seen. Now you have to realize the sunflower is something that was special to my wife. She had a few really favorite things like ladybugs and sunflowers. And so to mention the brightest sunflowers, that's something she would mention. Now, Clarice said she has also seen her surrounded by animals and children, which makes sense because she was a big animal lover. As far as children goes, she was a marriage family therapist, and she worked a lot with children and loved working with children. So I believe Jesus is real. There is a heaven, and there most certainly is a hell. The question to you is, where will you be spending an eternity? That's all for now. Goodbye.